Okay. Oh yeah, I see it. The little button up top. Cool.
Yeah.
So the first question, I guess, just to start off, is just what is your background? Like, where did you grow up? Like, how did you get into being like a community activist, organizer? Just like a little bit of basic information would be cool.
Okay, so my background is I come from a single family home where I didn't have the greatest support system.
Mm-hmm.
Not because the support system wasn't there, it's just that life is stressful when it's a single parent home. So we grew up as latchkey kids, kind of always looking out for ourselves and for our friends on our block and in our community. We built that type of network.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always kind of been a fighter just because we had to always look out for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think advocating is just something I've always done. But my life as an advocate, I love it because I help people and I help us all see things that most people don't want us to see. So I started out advocating as a community organizer, and I would knock on people's doors just to hear their concerns and their issues, what they was going through in life and how they wanted to address things. And I realized that people didn't think they had a voice. They didn't think they could make a change in the outside environment. Like they could control what's inside their house, maybe and maybe not. But outside of their house, they didn't really have much control. And then I would talk to them and I just let them know it's as simple as signing up and testifying and, you know, having your voice heard. That makes a big difference. Or having a community meeting and organizing like flea markets to raise money for whatever we need in our communities. So people took onto it. They really appreciated the conversation and the support. And the support was just simply informing them of what they could do and how they could make a difference, and just being there, walking with them to be that difference. So I really enjoy that part more than anything about advocacy.
Nice. Is there a specific, like, I guess, case or cause that stands up, like, that you may have felt like, do I speak up on behalf of this or do I not? Has you ever been conflicted about something, or have you always been just like, just go for it?
Yeah, well, in the world of advocacy, there's a lot of conflicts. I mean, that's the bottom line of advocacy, is the fact that there's a conflict there and we have to figure out how to best address it. Oftentimes, you have to hold your tongue just to get the results that you're looking for. So one instance that comes to mind for me is in 2011, I was asked to join a group that's advocating for public schools. And we've been advocating for quality public schools for a long time. We want resources for our schools that benefit the family and the community, and not schools that just focus on our youth, our children, or our students, because it's a family process. And I say this because of what's going on in the public school system right now. So this organization reached out to me because they needed parents that were advocating for public schools to do some Hill visits in DC. And during this whole weekend, we were going to be like having workshops, and there was a lunch with Secretary of Education Arnie Duncan. And, you know, I am totally against charter schools and his movement to privatize our public schools. So I had to tell them, you know, like, I am totally against this man. Like, I will totally protest him. Like, if I see him, like, I'm not trying to be around him. And we had a discussion, and, you know, we came to the agreement that we was going to go down there and be, you know, peaceful. Like, I didn't have to go to the lunch. with Arnie Duncan, you know. So I went to DC and attended several of the workshops, but I was just really getting aggravated with the whole education convening in DC because the whole focus was privatizing public education. And they know I'm totally against privatizing public education. To me, that's genocide on low-income communities because it's stripping our communities of resources. It's putting our communities against each other, trying to make one model looks like it's better than the other when it's really just another experiment waiting to be dismantled the same way they're dismantling our public education at the moment. So I just got aggravated and I left one of the workshops and walked around and looked at all the tables, and I started to I was about to cry, but I didn't cry because these organizations are the same organizations that advocated with me against this privatization, and now they're advocating for privatizing. So I have to hold my tongue again while I'm in this conference because I have to keep the peace because I'm with a group that now has turned the tables on me, you know what I'm saying? And they just don't understand that I'm not turning that table. I'm going to stick with no privatizing of our schools. There's no turning me around. So then lunch comes and I'm like, okay, Alicia, just go in there and eat lunch, be peaceful, because you said you was going to be peaceful. I'm going to sit there and listen to Arnie Duncan, see whatever he has to say. And I couldn't do it. I got my plate, I sat down, and I tried. I coached myself through the whole thing of sitting down and eating in that room to hear Arnie Duncan. And I couldn't do it. Rage just came over me. And my spiritual guides, which are my ancestors, they was like, "You should just get up and go because he's not worth the turnout." Because I was about to turn that dining room out. I got up and just went up to my room and started preparing for my Hill visits. And the best part about the whole visit was I got to meet with our legislators, and me and Senator Casey's office was really agreeing on a lot of things. And to me, that felt good to talk to a legislator who is on the same page as I. His office was saying that they didn't want to see any more unaccountable, non-transparent school systems. So they were pretty happy with the information that I brought them, which was some research that another group from Philadelphia, it was the only group from Philadelphia that was still supporting not privatizing our schools. They were showing the benefits of keeping public schools publics. So it turned out to be a win-win in the end. And I got to go to DC for the weekend and, see some DC stuff. So that was my experience.
And just out of curiosity, how is that cause going? Is it still an uphill battle? Have you made any headway? Are any changes being made?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I wish you could see my face because you would see the big smile across my face right now and the tears ready to come out my eyes because it is a process. Nothing happens overnight with advocacy. It's a long road, you know what I'm saying? But it's worth it because right now we're in the process of looking at putting the resources back in our schools. What we've been asking for all along in the beginning of the fight for education in our low-income, under-resourced, stressed-out communities. All we asked for was professional teachers, professional staff, nurses, counselors, all of that is what we asked for. So now there's a push for community schools, and community schools is just that. It's all the resources that we need in our schools to benefit the families and the communities. And my push is, I'm excited with the community model, but my push is I want them to really focus on the families and the communities. Don't just create a community school model and say this one model fits all. We know each school is different. Each demographic is different. We understand that part. but I want them to really understand that it's a family partnership. Like that teacher needs to have a relationship with those parents, the grandparents, or whoever is guardian those youth when they go home. It's a partnership.
Mm-hmm. Wait, oh no. Something happened. Oh, are you still there? Oh no.
They have to be pushed or they need their parents' guidance. So I'm excited with this community model that we're doing. I'm a community ambassador with an organization called PCAPS. We're doing trainings with various schools throughout the city. And it's working. It's a working model that's not really experimenting with our youth. It's just putting back the resources in our schools that we need to be successful and to have great communities, and stop building these prison communities. I'm so sick of the mentality of our state and country right now with putting more money in prisons as versus where you're building prison communities which benefit corporate America because they get slave labor, sweatshop labor. Like that's the way to build a society off of slave labor. It's really ridiculous. So my push is for schools that benefit our communities and raise our values as a country.
Nice. Well, you mentioned for like the lunch thing that you like that the I guess force that guided you to be like calm down, just like get up and walk out were like your spiritual guides, that are your ancestors. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Like what is like your spirituality mean to you, and like how does that make you different from your community, or like does it make you more the same as your community?
Well, my spirituality just is me. I don't know if it makes me different or the same. I'm part of my community because this is who I am. This is where I live and this is where I function. My ancestors guide me in a way that support what I do. So I am different than most people in our society. I was born with a veil over my face. I am different. I know this. So I listen to my guides, and that's just how I function in life. Does it make me different? I don't know. I think all of us have spiritual guides. We all have our ancestors watching over us and moving us in a way. And how one sees spirituality is different than the other. But the bottom line is, who are you hurting? Are you hurting anybody but yourself? Like, where are you going in life? And what does life mean to you? You know what I'm saying? I respect life. Like life to me is religion, and that is simply respecting those who I come in contact with. Definitely giving honor to my elders, passing on our heritage, trying to be part of the community. I'm about family, so my spirituality is grounded in the things that I care about most. And I don't know. I guess that's all I can say on that.
Thank you. And then the final question that I have is talking about, if you could talk about an experience you've had like communicating with someone of a different generation. Do you see there being a gap in like maybe either talking to someone older than you or younger than you? And then like what realizations or significances did you glean from that experience?
Wait, I'm looking on the chat. It says you can't hear me, but you can hear me because we're having this conversation, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was from before. In the middle of the thing, I was like, oh no, it went silent, but now it's not.
Awesome. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Could you repeat that question again, please?
Just I would like a story maybe of an experience of communicating with a person that of a different generation than you, and just like what did you realize in that moment? What significances, what lessons did you learn kind of from that?
Okay. So I was mentoring in a after school program with a partnership called After School Partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
That, and it was a chess program. So chess is a challenge for our community because our youth like to look at chess as being a smart person's game or a game of challenging, like you got to have a lot of brains, and it's anybody's game. So introducing chess to our community is a bit of a challenge. So I was trying to recruit the youth to my chess club, and they were doing what I thought they was going to do. Like, you know, no, I'm not playing chess. That's boring. That's for brainiacs. You know, they was moving away from it. So I started connecting with their parents. And once I started talking to their parents about chess, and me and the parents grew a relationship, then the students started coming to my chess class because I believe the parents opened me up. The relationship between me and the parents opened my relationship up to the students. So they started joining the chess club, and our whole relationship changed after talking to their parents. It's like they had more respect for me, but they knew I was calling home. They knew I was building that relationship with the family. So it really helped us to grow and help me to help them mature in the way that I could teach them chess. And in teaching them chess, I could teach them the things that they're doing in life as far as working as a team, as far as learning to move and plan ahead 3 or 4 steps. It helped me to help them overcome some of their own personal growth barriers. So it was just a great experience, and it wasn't just about the youth, but it was the youth and the family, because I felt like we all grew because I got connected to the family. I didn't just get connected to the babies. You know what I'm saying? It was beautiful, and all my parents were different, so each relationship was different, but it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. So I connected with not only a generation several years under me. They were like 5th and 6th graders. I even had kindergartners in my class. They were the sweetest ones. Like some of my kindergartners were better than my older students, and they could really play chess. You know, like I had a club of 18, 15 of us won medals, and they looked forward to those Saturday events. They were so happy that I invested my time in them on Saturdays that they looked forward to being there. And they had to keep their grades up. They had to prove themselves. They couldn't just be in my club. You had to have good behavior and good grades. Otherwise, you wasn't going. But they strive for that because they had something to do on a Saturday, you know? So it's just finding a way to connect and then making it happen. And I really enjoyed that moment.
Why did you choose chess? Like, why? I know that there's like a lot of like, you know, Saturday afternoon things where it's like sports, especially like football or like Pop Warner. But why did you choose chess instead?
Because chess is a hidden opportunities. It's one of those opportunities that sit over top of our heads and we don't know to reach for it. It's a resource that can not only pay your way through college, but you can make $100 an hour teaching chess once you become professional. And to become professional, it's only cost $75. You join the league for professional chess players. After you get ranked, it don't take long to get ranked. Like if I had the time, I would be ranked right now, and I would be charging $100 an hour to teach people chess. They have a chess club with an after-school program or anywhere, and you can make a lot of money playing chess. So I wanted to introduce that opportunity to our youth. I want them to think outside of the box. Don't just think the regular hip hop music, gotta be all fly. I can get out with basketball or football. No, you could fly an airplane. You could build an airplane. You could play chess. It's as simple as playing simple things that we don't even think about doing or even exposing ourselves too, because we're so caught up in the same old routine. It's always go to school, get a job, go to school, go to college, get a job. You know, is people don't think outside the box. So I try to push my babies and my families to think about other ways to achieve in life. And through chess, I was able to raise money to help them. So we would have competitions, and the awards would be U.S. savings bonds, because I wanted them to get in the habit of saving their money. Don't always get money and spend it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know times is hard. And if there's bills that need to be paid, then I don't mind helping paying the bills. You know what I'm saying? Because that helps too, you know. But I really just wanted to expose our youth to something different and let them know that they can make it just by playing chess. And if they start young in 5th and 6th grade and continue to play that game, by the time they're in 12th grade, they'll have universities, major Ivy League universities, knocking on their doors with full scholarships. And with their full scholarships, they can get paid $100 an hour in anybody's chess camp, and it's STEM related. So they can start their own chess camp, own STEM thing, and make plenty of money, locking contracts until they're 100 years old through the government. I try to push them through all kinds of different ways to think. And that was the beauty of chess. And not only think, but chess teaches you life strategies. The game of chess is an awesome game. I love the game. I love to play with it because you learn so much about people. And I wanted them to see that also, that in this game you could build relationships, but you also learn to think, you learn to focus. Like they did in the beginning, it was a fight with the homework. By the time the year was over, homework is done. Like they were so ready to be in that chess club just to play the game. And then they talk their smack while they're playing the game, but they did it in a respectful manner. They shake hands before they start the game. They shake hands at the end of the game. It was beautiful. It was a great experience.
Mm-hmm. Just like kind of unrelated to chess, but like related to what we've been talking about, and just like a wondering of mine. What do you think of the Stepping Stone Foundation? Do you think it because I know you were talking about not privatizing schools, and so but then it also does give academic help to people. What are your feelings?
I don't know about that foundation.
Oh, there's one. I think there is one in Philly, but I went through the one in Boston, and it's a program that's geared to inner city students. You don't have to be in a public school, but most kids do come from public school, but it gives them, it's 14 months, and it's extra academic, kind of like school, and it then helps you to be able to go to more independent schools, or in Boston's example, exam schools, which are public schools that you just need to test into. And so it just kind of broadens, I guess, the possibilities of schools that you can go to with extra academic help and just resources that you might not have known to pay for it.
But I don't know because we don't need schools. We don't need people to bring in schools to our communities. We need our resources in our schools. We already have schools. We have too many vacant buildings right now that could be servicing our communities. We don't need them to bring in schools. We need our resources. We need people to stop attacking the resources and using them for private measures for other people to say, oh, well, we could bring this in. We already had those resources. Don't privatize it. We don't need it to be, another scheme, another way for somebody to make $1 off of public education. And that's the problem. Education has become an industry now. They're taking it apart little piece by piece. So I'm not sure about that program, but flags go up to me when you say they bring in new schools. We already have schools. We don't want anybody to bring in schools. We want our resources. So
it's not bringing in schools. It's just I guess there are other schools that kids can like apply to like independent schools, so like not charter or public schools, but just like independent, either like parochial schools or Christian schools or just in general private schools that you would normally have to like pay tuition for, but like with the
That's
resources
illegal,
and
though.
scholarships.
Yeah, but that's illegal. That's just totally illegal. Public dollars are not supposed to pay for private education.
Well, it's not.
If these parents want their youth to go to private, but no, if these parents want their youth to go to private schools, they need to make that type of money where they can send their youth to private schools. Let's stop trying to be something we're not are and do what we can to make the best. And we have good schools when we invest in our schools. The problem is there's a breakdown in communications between the schools and the families. And now these schools are trying to be the parents and trying to like do everything as if they're the parent and leave the parent out. So now there's more of a push to bring more parents in. But I'm just not into that privatizing at all and starting other schools, because our public dollars aren't supposed to go for private resources. Mm-hmm. And I understand that they're struggling for whatever reason, but that's their business. That don't mean they come after public dollars and turn the public school system into an industry. And we're on a stock market now. Like, it's ridiculous. It's about social change. It's about social relationships. I mean, public schools are public because people can't afford private schools. And that's an American thing. I mean, if you look in different countries, education isn't this way. So we have to look at, I mean, what education really means in America and what's going on with that whole education. Hello?
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. Yeah, those are the questions that I have. If we want, we can move on if you want to your questions that you have for me.
Okay, thanks. So thank you. That was great. I really did appreciate that. Mm-hmm. So, Aliyah, could you share with me your age, the school you're attending, the year you're in, and a major?
So my full name is Aliyah Rose Harris. I go to University of Pennsylvania and I'm a senior. I am currently 21, but in less than a month I'll be 22. And I'm studying theater and English with a concentration in African American literature and culture.
Nice. And how did you get involved with the August Wilson and Beyond class?
So I had Professor Beavers last spring in his 20th century Southern writers, where we read, who did we read? We read Faulkner, we read Eudora Welty, Hurston, and Richard Wright. And I mean, the class was fine, but what really stuck out to me was like just Professor Beaver's teaching style. I mean, he's just like, he's so knowledgeable, but then like also very conversational. So I thought that I learned a lot from him and enjoyed being in the class and the discussions that he was able to moderate. And so I'm looking for classes for this semester. I wanted to see what else he was offering. And that was one of them. Might have been the only one. As well as it being like August Wilson, who I had a taste of my freshman year when I did when I took an African American lit class. We read Two Trains Running, and I had to do a presentation on it. And even like further back, when I was in like middle school, one of my friends' fathers was like, you know, you should really read August Wilson. So like all of these things, I'm like, I should probably take this class.
Yeah, yeah.
So I rearranged my schedule to take it. Also, I'm doing a thesis on like theater in the community and like community engagement. And I thought that this would be a good like starting place for
Mm-hmm.
this semester, I guess, to
Mm-hmm.
learn some things. And then next semester, with one of the other theater professors, we're putting together like a in Clark Park an Arts in the Park festival, which last year was the first year we did it. And I didn't take the class, but I participated in reading some of the monologues that some of the kids in the class wrote. But it was
Mm-hmm.
also a cooking class from another school made healthy alternatives, and they made like cheese quesadillas and watermelon that had interesting spices that you wouldn't think to put on watermelon and
Yeah.
something else. But then there's also music and there's dance and song. So most of my thesis will be about my experience with that and just like the academic nature of like how do you get children involved with theater and how do you bring it into the classroom when like even like whether in a theater class and like you I guess get kids excited about it. It's like, oh no, it's not just about Shakespeare and you know
Mm-hmm.
things that they might consider boring, but it can be about your life. It can be an outlet for you to like speak your mind. Um, so yeah, so this with making the monologues, which we're in the process of doing now, and just being in touch with the West Philly community. I was like, yeah, this class seems to fulfill everything that I need to get done senior year, and I'm having fun doing it as well, going through all of August Wilson's plays.
Yeah, that would be a nice end to the college experience. Well, at least this part of your experience, anyway. It might
Mm-hmm.
be just another door opening. So, do you remember what was the first August Wilson that you read?
Like in the class or just in general?
You said somebody introduced it to you early in life.
Yeah, in middle school, but I didn't really take his advice. I was like,
Oh, okay.
kind of, when you're like a older person sometimes tells you something and you're kind of like, oh, yeah, right, okay, yeah, I'm really not going to do that. But
Yeah,
apparently, life had other plans.
yeah.
And so the first August Wilson play that I read was Two Trains Running for my class in freshman year. I was
Okay.
like, wait, this is the guy that my
Mhm.
friend's dad said I should read. Oh, okay. Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so what have you gained so far from being in this class?
Hmm. What have I gained? Well, of course, there is just the more knowledge about August Wilson. And I mean, when I walked into the class, I had only read, I think, 4 plays by then. So I read Two Trains Running freshman year, and then last semester I read Fences as well as King Headley, Gem of the Ocean, and I think is that it? I think those are like the 3 or 4 plays that I had read. So now I've read all of them, I think. I think we've finished all of them. So I've officially read all of them. And just like learning about his life, how did they get on Broadway, or how did he process them? Um, I've learned more about West Philly. There's one project where we had to go past 48th Street because there's kind of like a myth of like around like in the Penn bubble, like, oh, don't go past like a certain street because then it gets scary and you don't know what's going to happen. But it's just kind of to break that barrier and like that stereotype. Um, and so we had to go into actual like West Philly, not like panified West Philly. And we found me and another classmate. We found a restaurant, like a Trinidadian restaurant on 52nd and Chancellor. That
Mm-hmm.
was like, I mean, not that we were scared, but it's like, oh wow, we didn't even know this was here. Like this is so much different than like, you know, kind of the restaurants around Penn, and it's like a nice change. And so like that's encouragement, I guess, for me to more go outside of the Penn bubble. Um, and then just building relationships with people. I didn't know that there was a West Philly Cultural Alliance. I didn't know about the Paul Robeson House. Um, and so those relationships, like, I mean, just make me more aware of the community that I'm living in, and also provide like networking connections for the project that I have in the spring, because I think we might be working with, or we're going to try to work with the West Philly Cultural Alliance for that
Mm-hmm.
project. And it's like, oh, I already know people in it now. So it's
Right.
like, you know, one
Right.
layer already done in
Right.
terms of forming relationships.
Yeah, and that makes it a lot easier, you know, makes
Mm-hmm.
it flow better. So, with all that you learned about August Wilson and you wanting to be in the theater world, what can you take from your learning of him and his experiences in life and apply it to yourself? Or how will you apply what you learned about him to yourself and making a way for yourself in the world of theater?
Um, One thing that definitely sticks out to me about his life was just, I guess, he's pretty self-taught and just very, it wasn't about necessarily like institutions and like, you know, the degrees. It's about skill and hard work, and like who, like forming relationships with people that can help you, and not necessarily like in a classroom setting, but just like mentors, which, you know, are, they care, people that care about you and are knowledgeable and like want to see you succeed. Um, and that's something, I guess, that, you know, I guess I'm thinking about grad school, and it's just kind of a nice um, alternative, kind of, I guess. It's like, it's not like I go to grad school and then I have success in my career in theater or anything like that. How it's a lot more important and probably beneficial to have those mentors that see something in you and like cultivate that in you, and can introduce you to other people that can also like feed into you, kind of. And that's maybe something that grad school will do for me, but that's not necessarily how it'll happen, I guess. So doing that, um I guess also just learning from his style of writing, of just immersing himself in the community to make such vibrant characters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, a lot of writing. Like I haven't done a lot of writing, but sometimes, you know, just write a little short story here and there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it comes just from me, and it's a lot more fruitful, I think, and more realistic, I guess, to think outside of yourself.
Yes.
Um, because, you know, you're so limited in like what you know and how you perceive things. Um, but you're making multiple characters. And so I guess to mimic that multiple perspective feel to your whatever you're writing, it's good to look outside of yourself for those multiple perspectives.
Yeah. And where are you from?
Boston?
Boston. Do you plan to go back to Boston after Penn, or
I'd rather
where do you
not.
know?
I'd rather not. Um, I've lived there all my life in the same place. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even applying to college, I didn't apply anywhere in Boston. I'm like
Mm-hmm.
super proud of my city. And
Right.
whenever someone says like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to Boston," or "Oh yeah, I've been to Boston," I'm always super excited to, you know, talk about like, "Oh, where did you go on like the Freedom Trail, yeah, that's super touristy. Oh, you should try going like here and whatever. But I like to try things that are new, and so I wouldn't mind not moving permanently back to Boston. Although most like my immediate family is there. So it would be nice to be kind of close. I wouldn't necessarily want to go to the West Coast, although if that's where my life is taking me, then I won't say no.
Right,
Um,
right.
but I would prefer to stay on the East Coast somewhere.
Okay, okay. Well, my last question. Could you offer me some feedback on the community partnership that you all are a part of with the Nutter Center, the West Philadelphia Cultural Alliance, and the class that you're in?
Like feedback in what way?
What
Like,
what do you see is I really didn't want to put anything in you, but just tell me, can you describe the partnership?
um, I feel like I don't know a whole bunch of the behind the scenes of the partnership. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I mean,
So from what you're experiencing in class, what can you tell me is the benefits, or if there, what can you tell me about the partnership that that you see in class and experience so far?
it's definitely different to have older members in the class to share their perspective. I mean, like having,
Mm-hmm.
there's a time for having similar perspectives, and there's like a time for having like drastically different or slightly different perspectives when like in discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the same perspective, or not necessarily the same perspective, because even though we might all be students, we all come from different places. Um, but I guess maybe like in time wise, since this August Wilson cycle goes through all of the like 20th century, um, we were only in the 20th century for like a very short period of time. So the older members are able to speak on that, like on like the things that we have no idea what he's talking about, like all these like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know necessarily. I don't have like a idea of one. Probably like a lot of the music, since August Wilson uses a lot of blues and, jazz um in his plays. Um Nowadays, like I don't listen to blues and jazz. I don't know any history of it. My mom does a little bit, but the class, other members of the class are more, like, oh, I remember, yeah, I understand like the like how records work, and yeah, like the record kind of industry or radio industry that is experience or that is talked about in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, as well as Radio Golf. Like now we have the internet or like CDs, and like everything's at a click of a button. You can just use Spotify and you can find whatever you want, and you can listen to songs, the songs that you want to listen to. But like back then it was a big deal to be on the radio. And like now there's SoundCloud, where you don't have to be signed to anybody, but you can put your music out there. So like understanding how big of a deal it was for like Black artists to be on the radio, and the difference between the mainstream radio and like the African American, like I guess geared radio. Um Also like the mainstream records versus the African American geared records. Um so yeah, that's definitely a positive of being like um of having the partnership between like West Philly Cultural Alliance and Paul Robeson House with the Nutter Center in Penn. Um Also, I guess with August Wilson's connection to like Pittsburgh or Philly a little bit, like some of the community members, like they either met him or like, you know, were really good friends with him. So I guess it kind of humanizes him. You know, you think of like, you know, nobody in your Shakespeare class has ever met Shakespeare
Right.
or like, you know, any other super like anthologized like Milton and like, I don't know, Faulkner and all those kinds of people. But so it's interesting that he's very local
Mm-hmm.
and then using the community members as resources to like access like how local he was.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting.
Do you see relationships outside of the classroom with community members, or is it just strictly during the class time?
I don't think anything right now. They're like super, like no one goes over each other's houses, I don't think.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, there's sharing like, one time during class we were talking about fried chicken and we're trying to figure out like, oh, like there's like on campus there's like Wishbone, which is this kind of like artisan, not really fried chicken, it's more like breaded chicken, kind of overpriced chicken that we were like, oh, like it's okay, like if you have the money and you're hungry. And
Yeah.
then Professor Beavers was like, oh, you know, you should go to Federal Donuts. And so all the community members are like, what's Federal Donuts? And like, and some of them went to the restaurant to try it and was like, oh yeah, this is really good. Like, yeah, I didn't even know that this was here. So that we're going to see 2 trains running for so like during the King Headley a book club kind of community bonding event that we had a couple Sundays ago. Some of the actors in it are in 2 trains running, which is going on close to campus. And so the class is going in 2 separate groups, but is mixed between the Penn students and the community members. So that'll give us a chance to bond outside of the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Also, some of the community members have gone to the interviews that we're doing for our monologue project. And so another way for us to engage together without it being like a lecture. Then there is one of the girls that's in the class. She is a West Philly native. And she's neighbors. She found out she was neighbors with Bernadette Tanksley. Or they live in like the same kind of community. So I guess for her, there's more of a connect outside of the classroom because they live right next to each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to continue that in the spring, and we'll see. So that's. Yeah. Wait, oh no, I can't hear you again. Wait, are you there still?
I'm here.
Okay, cool. It was like making weird noises.
Oh, okay.
But it's good now.
All right. Well, I do want to thank you for your time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you as well.
Yeah, and I really do appreciate this partnership between the university and the community because they're powerful partnerships. This is a resource that benefits us all when we can connect. Because I never heard of August Wilson until I got an invite from the West Philadelphia Cultural Alliance. Mm-hmm. So I'm in my 40s and I'm just hearing about him. But I'm glad to have learned about him and plan to learn more. And hopefully next year I could join the class from the beginning and go through the whole August Wilson series, because I think it's important to know. And being an artist myself, I like to pass on the story of other artists. So, yeah, I think it's really awesome what y'all doing over there.
Yeah. And we'll make sure to send the invite in, I think it's in December 6th, I want to say, is when we're doing our bigger event of showcasing the monologues that were written and are going to be performed either by class members or other community members or professional actors, based off of the interviews that we're doing right now.
I hope to be able to record that anyway, so I'm going to check with my professor to make sure I can do that. But one other question, I know I was getting ready to close it, but do you see yourself doing performances like that with the Urban Bush Women, or is your theater style a little different, or could you be flexible enough to do a variety of theater styles?
I actually didn't get a chance to see the African Bush or the Urban Bush Women.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, for me, I just want to be on stage and just be around the theater and just like absorb anything. So I'd probably try anything at least once. The training that I've had is like more classical.
Well, not anything, Aliyah. Not anything.
Not anything. Not anything, but But I mean, yeah, there are lines that you draw. But if it's like, hey, do you want, like, for example, over the summer, I did the Edinburgh project, which is like a theater class that you take, and 6 people go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is like a big international kind of festival for theater. And it's like, oh, like, it's not going to be classical Shakespeare that we do. We devised a piece, so it just came from us. Like, we wrote it. We decided what it's going to be about and how we were going to say that. And that's definitely not the training that I've had. But I was like, going to Edinburgh, going to make my own piece, like going to see other artists, like sign me up. So yeah, if I'd have to look into them more and like see, like, I guess, who they're looking for. But like if they offered me something and I was gelling with what their piece was about and I was available, I'd probably be like, yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, and I'm doing a documentary. Do I have your permission to use your audio in various media outlets?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Thank you so much. You're the best.
Oh, thank you.
I won't be able to go to 2 trains running. There's a Black College Matters town hall that I'm going to. So I won't be able to go to the play, but I'm going to try to get back.
The Black College Matters?
Yeah, it's a town hall in the evening on Thursday. So I'm going to that, and I won't be able to go to the play at the same time.
Oh, well, we ended up, yeah. It's all weekend, the town hall, or no?
No, but Thursday, I'm going to the town hall. Friday, I'm going to have my grandson for the rest of the weekend, so it's just not going to work. Yeah. And my family comes first, and I haven't seen them in a while because I've been running around with the Supreme Court race, which we won. I'm so happy we won. We got our Democrats in there. And and that's part of the feeling for me that feels good about life and advocating and seeing the changes that we're able to do. You know, I'm excited, but hopefully I'll make it to another class on a Monday to learn from y'all, because I learn from everybody. I'm always absorbing. I don't talk much. I absorb more than I talk, and then I go from there.
Yep.
But thank you.
Yeah, we'll be reading. I think Susan Laurie Parks is the next one that we're reading, and then there's I'm looking to see what it is. Terrell Alvin McCraney, and the brother sister plays. We're reading those too. So those are the next couple plays we'll be looking at if you're able to come to see one of the, or to participate in one of the classes.
All right.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
thank you again. And I will talk to you later.
Yeah, and do you need, this would be on my YouTube. Did you record the answers and everything?
I was just going to get it from the YouTube.
Yeah, so it'll be on my YouTube probably by tomorrow.
Okay.
It takes you a little minute to upload it, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.